Everybody, but we're also on tape. We are deep down in the bowels. At least the music. Episode 117 of Kamloops Last Week. Chris Foulds, Magic Mike, and Bill. 17.
117.
117.
Okay, so 117 years ago this year.
Okay.
The great earthquake in San Francisco of 1906. And it changed so much, you wouldn't believe it.
What did it change?
This book right here.
He's got show and tell today.
It is called A Crack in the Edge of the World by Simon Winchester. He writes fantastic books. He wrote Krakatoa about the eruption of the great volcano in Southeast Asia in 1883. And from that sprang radical Islam. You got to read the book to find out. This book here talks about the earthquake, one of the worst natural disasters in the history of America. And the earthquake led to LA superseding San Francisco as the city on the West Coast, led to the rise of the Pentecostal movement, led to the space age, and led to radical immigration problems for the Chinese, all woven into this crack in the earth. It's incredible.
Did you know that, Mike?
Incredible.
No, I had no idea about any of that, actually.
Have you been in an earthquake before and felt rattling?
Not really. You know, in Kamloops, we get the building and the plants swaying and stuff like that, but never a full-on earthquake.
That's a big one.
What
in
about
San
you?
Andreas Fault. Yeah, in Abbotsford, when my kids were little, there was a little earthquake down there where pitchers moved and the plants moved when I was home with the kids. But today is also, we're filming this on November 22nd, 2023. It's the 60th anniversary of the assassination of John F. Kennedy.
Okay.
So there's a lot of stuff going on today.
I'm fascinated by that still to this day.
Another
I
good
love
book
watching
on
the
that
documentaries.
one. Yeah, tons of books.
All
and
the
tons of
conspiracy
documentaries.
theorist stuff gets me.
So if you're, I'm sure today and all this week there'll be tons of stuff on TV about that event because that was monumental, right?
Yes.
Well, mine was, for 17, was she was just 17, if you know what I mean.
So a little more lowbrow than Foldsies.
Well, the Beatles, right? Like,
She was just 17.
if you know what I mean. Like, no, I don't know what you mean, but
That
it's,
sounds a little
Well, I
bit
mean, they
creepy.
were young back then.
They were young,
They're
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about teens on teens, like Teen Angel and all that. It's not some old guy looking down. You got to think of the context. Creeps.
Yeah.
Speaking of creeps, Mike messaged me last night with a Yeti costume that was for sale, I think for one of his conventions.
Isn't that amazing? Wasn't that an amazing costume? Like, that's normally like $1,000.
You know the price point. I could see you in that one.
Yeah. It would go good with my Sasquatch outfit.
Yes.
Yeah.
How's your dog? You had to almost put him down this morning. I think.
Well, just before the show, we're running a little bit late because I was walking my dog outside of the shop here at Lee's, and he got into some thistles in the backyard. You know, the little bush with like the little brown Velcro things. And he's a very furry dog, and he got him all in his eyes, and they got all around his eyes, so he couldn't see out of his eyes.
Oh, like the little burdocks, like the burdocks.
What, the things that always cling onto your
the
pant legs.
burdocks,
Yeah,
right?
they're like
Those
shoelaces.
Those are bad for dogs.
Oh, it was brutal. So then I'm sitting there because he kept rubbing it in more and more and more, and he's just a puppy, so he doesn't like anybody touching his face so much. Not that he's aggressive, but
he's okay.
Squirms, right? Oh yeah, we got him. Yeah. He actually finally went, you know what, you're helping me, and just went kind of limp, and we cut him all out and didn't have to put him down. So that's
What's his name again?
Nuno.
Betancourt.
Yes, Nuno.
From Nuno Betancourt, the extreme guitar player.
One of the greatest guitarists of all time.
And Mike would not leave the concert early if they had one bad song, like you would.
No, I would not. Right. And I also would like, it feels like the show's full of apologies lately. I had to apologize to James Peters, but I'm sorry for calling you a bandwagon. I realized that was probably...
you didn't know what the term meant.
I hit a point, I think, and
he thought it's a band that plays on a wagon.
I know, that's what he thought. Or he thought I was drinking again or not drinking again or something like that. Yes.
Something like that, but I know you're a diehard BC Lions fan, so...
Absolutely.
We do have a great show today, Mike, and you're going to be involved in talking about this too, because you're right in the heart of downtown. This is where we are at Lee's Music, and we're going to talk about City Gardens, Kelson Group development, the Trillium Tower. It's now under construction. Well, it's been for a while.
They hit a milestone.
The
sixth floor, and that's when it's gonna go up 30 feet a day until it hits 250 feet.
It's going to rise to 248 feet above street level over the next 6 months. So you're going to see a huge difference in our
tallest
landscape.
building in Kamloops when it's completed, right?
Wow.
And not just, let's talk about it now. I mean, what do you think?
It's incredible. It's the largest development in the history of the city, and it's right downtown, which I think will benefit the downtown and the city. You're going to have thousands of more people live in downtown over the next however many years it takes to build this. It's worth in excess of $200 million, maybe 300 now with all the inflation. And you have 2 high rises, and you have, I think, 3 lower rises, 6-story buildings, and a whole city block between 4th and 5th and Battle and Nicola, right across from the Y. And once it's done, it's going to be a lot of walking paths. I mean, the renderings look amazing.
Before we ask Mike, I do want to say Bill Sarai is also on the show today. He's coming up, city councillor, good council yesterday, lots to talk about.
Yeah, we watched the entire, yeah.
But back to the task at hand here. What do you think about this new development?
I think it's really exciting for Kamloops. You know, like there's we've gone for many years without having a lot of infrastructure added, kind of a thing. So having this kind of investment, having this kind of thing going on, it bodes well for the future of Kamloops.
What about from a business standpoint? I mean, how does this kind of thing? Does it bring an influx of people, or does it change the clientele you might see in the area? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I think having more people around helps keep things safer and cleaner. You know, we saw that in the park when nobody used to go into the park, and then music in the park 30 years later, now it's full of people, families, and stuff like that, and it's not a scary place to be.
Music in the park, Rib Fest, Hot Night in the City. Anytime they have a big event, downtown Santa Parade this weekend, it's a great place to be because the people, the ne'er-do-wells, maybe the people who are up to no good, they don't want to be around when people are around, right? And when you do go downtown and you bring more people downtown, it's just the vibrancy there.
Well, there's going to be people on the other side of that say we're just, our social problems shooing them away in gentrification, and we're losing old school Kamloops residents by changing.
There's that argument too, but progress is progress, and sometimes for some people it's not progress.
We need more homes. Yeah. We're growing. What's the city at? 100,000 plus now. Yeah, that's amazing. We added 20,000. It feels like in just a few years.
Yeah. Well, every year, the equivalent of a medium-sized elementary school. Kids move to Kamloops every year now, 254 on average.
Wow.
That's a lot of people.
I didn't even tee up our guest, did I? I didn't mention the guest who's coming on to talk about it. It's Brendan Shaw. Yeah. He's the real estate. Do you know Brendan?
I've chatted with Brendan and worked, buying real estate and stuff over the years. Yeah,
he's the agent for the entire
Trillium
project.
Tower, the first big, massive tower that's on its way up right now. So we'll have him on the show. We'll ask him some of these questions. Price point. Is there some kind of affordable housing options as well? I think I don't know what the price range is, but you think it's
probably out of all of our ranges, but it's housing anyway for those who can afford it. We'll find out from Brendan.
Well, maybe somebody that's in a more affordable place buys and moves into there.
Yeah, and that domino effect.
And we end up with some more space. Space is space, right?
Yeah, space is space.
Hopefully it'll help.
Absolutely.
Council meeting yesterday, your thoughts in general?
Yeah, it was interesting. The water rates hike went through, and that's the most controversial thing, I think. Initially, staff a couple weeks ago said, look, we have to replenish the reserve because we're spending, I think it's $3.2 million figuring out the Noble Creek thing. But we have to prepare for the future. We've had 1% increase between 2014 and now. We need to catch up. We need to get the reserves there for a rainy day fund. We need to do upgrades on the system. So they were proposing a 25% increase in water rates next year, followed by incremental rates. So overall, it'd be about $94 for the average person next year extra, and then through the 5 years, it'd be about $350, I think. And the council sent it back, so that's a little bit too much. They came back yesterday, and they had 3 options. They went for the second option.
Before we get to the options, I do want to just say that Maca Ranch uses water.
Oh, yes,
I do have to get to Maca Ranch.
They have to. Yeah. They have beautiful pigs.
For their good, clean food. For their beef, their pork, their lamb, their chicken, their pasture raising. 80 acres, Mike.
80 acres.
Out in Turtle Valley, local business, it damn near burned down.
We're going to go visit them. And their family, they're nice group of people too,
and they're Turtle Valley strong. They save their animals. I've seen the video of them packing up their animals and saving them from the fire. It's incredible. They don't believe in hormones. They believe they exist, but they don't. They don't believe in steroids. They don't believe in pesticides for their animals. It's Maca Ranch on Facebook, Instagram. You can email them. Beautiful new website too. But email them at info@macaranch.ca. Brand new website. It's stunning. It's good, clean food. It's Maca Ranch, and they deliver, Mike.
Do they do Canadian bacon?
Oh, like the different cuts?
Isn't that funny that we in the world it's called Canadian bacon, but we don't eat Canadian bacon like that?
It's a good question.
Yeah, that's the round stuff, right?
The round
I like
stuff,
the regular.
Yeah, the regular bacon, not Canadian bacon.
Yeah.
Curtis and Ashley will watch this and they'll let us know.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Water rates. And Bill, I think we have a slide for this. Slide 2, Mike.
Yeah,
Bill's
it's
getting
going to
thrown.
Mike.
Great job, Bill.
Yeah, so this is the so the top one, if you can see that, it's 25%
I'll blow it up on the
next
screen.
year, 15,555 for a total of $254 extra people will be paying on average over those 5 years. Council said that's a little bit too high for the first year. People are going to probably have a high tax increase. Everyone's going broke. No one can afford anything anymore. So council decided after a lengthy debate, interesting debate, to go with option 2, which basically over 5 years we're going to pay more, but the first year we're going to get a little bit of a breather. Instead of paying on average $95 more next year, $96, we'll be paying $69 next year, and then you'll see as it goes forward, you're going to pay more overall. But it's a 63% increase in your water rates over 5 years, which is massive. $307 over 5 years, it's a lot. But like they say at the council meeting, the staff was saying we hadn't had any increases, a 1% increase between 2014 and 2023, and they need to catch up. COVID, when they went to zero budgeting, 0% budgeting, that kind of screwed things up too. But they have to do this now, they say, and a lot of people are going to be a little shell-shocked, as the mayor and other councillors and other people have said, it might be just a few bucks a month, but some people can't afford a few bucks a month.
And it led to conversation about how can potentially these costs be cut, and it led to talk about grant funding, and the mayor had his ideas on essentially kind of relying on
Can we go for grants to cut down this cost? Yeah.
And he was met with some disagreement from several people. Katie Newstater calling it negligent to go and rely on these grants when you don't know you're going to get them.
Yeah.
And it was one of the
senior staff had an analogy. It was a good one.
Saying that it was relying on grants is like buying a car and then going to try and pay for it by putting money on red 46 at the casino.
Yeah, the roulette table.
Table.
Yeah.
You know what I don't get about all this? We talked about this before, but my property tax here in this building that we're in at Lee's Music doubled in 2 years.
Yeah.
From $10,000 to $20,000 a year in
paying
taxes.
The commercial rate.
Commercial rate. My home taxes nearly doubled.
Yeah.
They doubled since the last time I remembered. So if they're getting in double the tax money.
And plus people are moving here, there's more houses.
More houses.
The tax base is rising. Maybe Bill, we can ask Bill how that works, because you'd think that
some of that would offset.
Yeah, they're getting way more revenue, the city, so you'd think that it would come down, right? But I know if your house or your business increased more than the average, that's because its value skyrocketed over the average.
No.
Well, that's
not it. Because they haven't even, when we sold this building, it did skyrocket.
Yeah.
But the taxes aren't indicating that. Next year they're going to go up even more.
Yeah, I know.
That's the worst part of it. Also,
what do you think about the mayor's ideas there? I mean, he obviously has good intentions, right? He's thinking, well, why don't we just get these grants?
Well, no, I think there's two things here. One, everyone agrees on council. They have a full-time grant writer, which is they call it the grant person. It's a person whose job is to go and find grants for the city to help pay for everything from a performing arts center to a sewer pipe, and their job is to be the expert to go to all these different places, because there's tons of places in the federal and provincial government where you can apply for grants. There's different criteria, there's different rules as to, shovel ready or not. So there's the person doing that. So everyone there, I think, agreed that if we can get grants, great, but we can't rely on a grant and
the plan
and work that into your budget until you don't have it. And I think that's what they're trying to say to the mayor, saying it's a good idea, but unless we know the grant is there, we have to proceed on the assumption there is no grant there. And if we do this and we find there's a grant there, then down the road you can bring it down. And that's happened on a number of projects where they start the project. I think Victoria Street West reconstruction was one of them. They start it, and then halfway through they find there's a grant that can bring it down later. So, yeah.
Kamloops Heritage Railway, quickly.
Yeah, that's the council meeting started with a representative from the Kamloops Heritage Railway talking about an update, because that thing's been in limbo. Ever since the coal train contract switched over, and the coal from, I think, CN to CP or vice versa, and the coal train started coming through Kamloops, you see them through Valley View, massive increase in railway traffic. That great old steam train, 2141, can't run anymore because there's no room on the tracks, and there's no time. So when I first moved here with my kids and my first wife, the kids when they're little, the best thing was going on that Billy Miner train.
When I was an intern, you sent me to do a story on that, and I did it.
And they robbed the train.
Wasn't a very good story.
Well, no, it wasn't very good. It was an experience though.
Yeah.
And then the Christmas, they have the Christmas one, and then the Halloween one. They go over the river onto the reserve, and the headless horseman and my kids are freaking out. It's beautiful. They can't do that anymore. So they have a storage facility where the train is, and they turn into a little museum now. So it's a static display. But now there's zoning problems with the city, and there's accessibility problems because you can't get in there if you have if you're disabled. So they're kind of in a pinch right now. So the representative was updating them to say they're working on a virtual thing, but it's really sad because that thing is meant to it's like a Greyhound, right? It's meant to ride.
It's a community project.
Yeah.
What you guys don't remember was way back in the late 70s, early 80s is my memories.
It was parked in Riverside.
It was parked in Riverside, and we used to climb all over that thing.
Rain Man does remember.
Yeah, and it was a toy. It was fantastic, and then to see it actually be rebuilt and running, we do a lot of work on it with the audiovisual on it.
Yeah.
But it's sad to see that the support, whatever infighting is going on.
Yeah.
Let's support. What do we need to do to make this?
Was there an ask yesterday then, or was there?
No, it was just an update to say, here's what we're doing, just to let you know. There is some kind of weird city zoning thing that maybe bureaucracy is getting in the way of it. But the bottom line is that thing needs to run on the rails, and it can right now, and it's no one's fault but the economy. The railways have no room for it. So maybe what we need is to find some old, BC Electric line that's not being used right now, and just run it there. I know there was a talk a few years ago of using a less busy line and running it from Kamloops all the way to Armstrong and back.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Something went wrong. There was some kind of dispute between the two communities on that, but that would be fantastic.
It's some kind of a Wanda Sioux reclamation project involved with this as
Wanda
well.
Sioux and this
the
thing, and have an excursion. You take the train down to Savagnin, and then you come back on the Wanda Sioux.
You know what I like about the Armstrong idea is that in the Okanagan they created this rail trail.
The Kettle Valley one.
No, it's called the Rail Trail, and it starts in Sicamous and goes all the way to Kelowna.
Okay.
It might even go down to Penticton, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But you can get on it. It's a walking trail. It was an old rail trail that they took the rail ties up.
Yeah.
And it's just being built between Sicamous and I think Armstrong now is the last leg of it.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
But could you imagine having an actual steam train going up there? That could bring people back and forth from Kamloops.
I think it's
and you could get your gear back to your shop from Sicky.
That's what I'm really thinking. Yeah.
No, so that's that. It was a good update because people always ask, well, what's happening on that? I know last year in the paper we did this magazine about things to do in Kamloops, and they just opened on May 2nd, I think, the museum. They had to close 9 days later because of all this weird issues like zoning and all this kind of stuff.
All this talk about
zoning's easy to fix. That's the city saying we want to do this, and let's figure out how to make it work, and let's make it work.
I think there's more. That's one issue, but there's many issues. But it'd be good to get back on track for sure.
All this talk about trains, it reminds me of our weekend together.
I love eagles, but I also love trains. And one of the things that I like to do is count train cars. And I have a little spot that I love to count train cars from up above Valley View on one of the hoodoos, because you get a perfect view of all the flats of Valley View, and we can count train cars. And that's
all the graffiti. You can see where it comes from: California, Washington, Oregon, all that. It's
fantastic, right?
Neat. Yeah, it's like an art show going by.
Yeah, so that's what we did. Is we went and got a car from Volkswagen. And what about the car?
Well, it was...
Besides the low rates.
Terry low rates, it was roomy because it was the 7-seater Atlas and the Cross Sport and the engine, the fuel-efficient engine, Mike. You know all about that, and so does Chris.
Yeah,
and quiet.
Absolutely.
And quiet.
Chris was actually on one of the trains that we saw, though. Like he was in the back.
Was that him in the
hobo caboose? He was in the caboose, the old trains where you...
Yeah, I was in the back of the car because I like to ride the caboose.
And he was...
Caboose. That's a Canadian word, eh? Caboose.
But there's a certain name for that back car, though.
The caboose.
Caboose.
No, but like what the party car. There's a party car.
The bar car.
The bar car.
No, that's when you're going. I went from Abbotsford to Edmonton to go to college, and I sat in the bar car, and I had $17 and a sandwich my mom made for me, and I went up there on the train. It was a great trip, right? And I ended up in the bar car right around Kamloops, I think, and I was playing some cards with these guys, a Russian guy.
That's right.
And the guy was playing music, and I lost all my money, and they didn't give me anything back. I was hungry the whole way to
That's what you were
Edmonton.
doing again, and we could see. But the thing is, he had been drinking a bit, and so he had fallen down, and he was in this car, but he was lying on a Sealy mattress.
Because it was full of Sealy mattresses.
It broke my fall. Yeah, it was very nice.
And what's on right now at Gord's, Mike? It's the Black Friday sale.
Black Friday. Tell me more about the Black Friday sale.
Well, I think you know this. right?
Probably.
If you buy
Oh, you're talking about the twofer.
the twofer, if you
Yes.
mix and match those Whirlpool and Maytag appliances, if you buy two, what do you save?
Two honey.
If you buy three, what do you save?
3 honey. It's real easy math.
Dishwashers,
Yeah.
ovens, fridges, and they're hiring right now, Foulds. You should look into that because you're unemployed.
I am.
Service what they sell as well. And after he woke up from his slumber on the train, luckily he stopped right off at the McDonald's.
I woke myself up with one of these.
Is that a peppermint one?
No, it's a regular, 2 cream, medium.
But they have peppermint ones on right
do.
now.
They have the peppermint hot chocolate and mocha from October 31st to January 22nd for the festive McCafe season. Above the Folds is next. It's with Bill Sarai. It's brought to you by McDonald's.
Bop, 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 bop. Yes.
My favorite McDonald's meal would be, I wouldn't say a meal, but first of all, I love fries. I love McDonald's fries. But if I have to have a meal, then I would say it would be nuggets.
Okay. If you could be one of the McDonald's characters, Ronald McDonald or the Hamburglar, or any of the characters, who would you be?
I think I would be a hamburger.
Why?
Because I think it's super cute. And I like cute things.
There's a playland here too. What
Yeah.
kind of fun do the kids have here at the playland?
It's amazing for kids. It's like the attraction point for them. That's why a lot of families, we even have birthday parties, so they book birthday parties there. Kids love to come and have happy meals and enjoy along with their friends. So it's great for kids, and especially even for working parents, it gives them a break. So they bring their kids here, they play, and then they also have to have a good time here.
Kamloops City Councillor Bill Sarai back for a second or third time. We're not sure, but we're glad to have you back. And we were just chatting, and you know Mike, you've known him for a long time, and you're talking about Silga. So why don't you just start there?
Absolutely, Mike, and not a local legend here, but Silga's followed us around throughout the interior to do our conferences, and next year we're probably working with them again. It's going to be here in Kamloops, and it's going to be one of the best conferences. Just the lead up to it, and we're seeing what's going to be offered in our city is just unbelievable. And I think the highlight of my being second vice president and this being in Kamloops is the opening ceremonies being at the Powwow Ground Arbor with Cookby Roseanne Casimir being our opening speaker to kick off the conference in May of 2024.
SILGA
Yeah.
is the Southern Interior Local Government Association, right?
Absolutely.
And when is it here?
April 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
Mike was
Sorry,
scared.
of 2024. Yes.
Mike, what do you like about that event?
We've done Silga, I don't know, for 15 years or something like that, and it's in a different community every year, and you get to see what the communities have to offer, and you also get a lot of you get to see how mayor and councils interact with other mayor and councils, and there's a lot of things that go on kind of in between the times where people get together and the tables, they start to intermix and chat, and I think there's a lot of really great ideas that come from there, isn't there?
Absolutely, and having 37 communities, municipalities, districts, townships, is we get to see what their highlight is, what keeps them ticking, what pays the bills in that town, and seeing the highlight. Like in Vernon last year, we went on the bike tour around the lake. There's so much to do, and every community wants to showcase what they got going on, and we share our good, bad, and sensitive issues. It's educational, but it's team building as well.
They also do Community Excellence Awards. So this is a program where different communities in Silga put in their projects that they're working on, and that's really neat. We produce that whole segment, all the videos and stuff for that as well. So
Great recognition
it's
for it.
super cool.
Right on. Let's talk about council yesterday. What are your thoughts in general on the meeting? What stands out to you about the meeting yesterday?
We finished at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, I mean, you know why? Because there was no one taking up the public inquiry, like except one guy. And he talked about the UN a little bit, but didn't go too far sideways.
No, that's exactly what council should be doing, the business of the city. We had, with the public hearing, I mentioned it to Councillor Riley on the way out, because he's our development councillor in that reign. We approved probably multiple $1 million projects last night to benefit our city, from having massage therapists working at a home, some housing units. There's some really good stuff that the city, when we're on task to do our work, that's what it's all about. And when you go home at the end of the night, and you can say to yourself, "Wow, we did something good for the city."
Accomplished something.
We talked about water rates before you came here. We showed the three options and the one that was chosen. What do you say to the average Kamloopsian that might see these numbers and be a little alarmed?
So what I would say to him, for the last, probably way before I got elected 4 years ago, so I'm on my 5th year, utilities always paid for utilities. So it's always been that 101. We kept it really low during COVID, because that was just the rule of thumb. We're still doing that. The wild card in this is we got a 10% assist factor to the home builders to make housing affordable. Noble Creek's been on the books for 3 councils now. It's coming back to bite us on our rear end. I'm not hiding the fact. There should have been a decision made years ago whether we're all in or all out. And we've been trying to figure it out. Every council is trying to be the one that can find the answers to keep everybody happy. What has thrown a wrench in that whole equation now, and I'm on that council when I got elected in 2018, that what are we doing shutting our water off? This doesn't make any sense. And we've tried to find solutions. What Mother Nature did to us last year threw all those solutions out the window. She's not cooperating at all. So you can have every study you want done. If there's no water, you can have the state-of-the-art pump in the world. It's not going to work. So that's where we're at now. That utility piece is still what we're paying for. 10% of the utility water assist factor, 25 Noble Creek. There's your 15%. There's your 25%. We're just trying to soften the hit, because it's such a big number, and residents say, "Oh my God, we've never seen a number over 2, and now it's a 25." So a little education was probably needed on our part, but at the end of the day, coming back, revisiting it, I think was a good thing. It's at 18%. In the long term, we're paying a little bit more, but the hit on our residents is a little bit softer.
Yeah, the first year hit on the residents is $30 less, but the overall is going to be about $50 more.
Because we have to borrow some money to do the water treatment plant.
Yeah, that's right. So I guess on that thought, I mean, people are stretched thin. Next year we're coming off a year with the highest tax increase this century, 7%, I think it was. Next year there's been rumors it might be higher. People are like looking around thinking, especially people without jobs, they're like, holy, how am I going to pay my property tax? How am I going to pay? Everything's going up. So I guess the question I have to you is there anything the city can do, and we asked the mayor this, we've asked every councillor this, is there anything that could be done to cut down the cost, to mitigate it? And 2 things I think of, and they're all little things, but they add up.
Right.
Recently, the city approved assistant CEO position. McCorkle went up.
Right.
And then the fire chief is now the director of the protective services. But that led to, as I recall it, the creation of another director's position that has to be filled.
Right.
They get paid big bucks, a couple $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
And then recently I just saw on Facebook, where the advertising is from the city, they're advertising for 2 more communications persons. Now, they might be fill-ins because people are away, or they might be new.
Right.
$42 an hour.
Right.
If a reporter gets that, they'd be in heaven.
I wouldn't mind that job, actually.
Yeah,
So don't cut that one.
$42 an hour. And I'm not saying. Let me preface. I'm not saying it shouldn't be done. What I'm questioning you is, can we get by without those kind of things? Yes or no? The taxpayers want to know.
I'd say yes, but I'd also say with a caveat, I'm not sure about the communication openings that are there now. It could be a mat leave, it could be a temporary.
Yeah, I think it might be, but yeah.
But on the director's role, so as you know, this council campaigned on Build Kamloops.
Yep.
If you look at Director McCorkle's desk, was a lot of this, and a lot of this, and I think it was just too much from a director's perspective to be hands-on on Parks and Rec and Recreation and Community Safety, Fire and Police.
Speaking of fire.
Speaking of, I timed that.
We didn't add that in. That's real.
So to get the Build Kamloops piece out there, which we all are supporting the arts and culture and the Performing Arts Center, and we haven't built a facility here in 20 years. So in David Trollin's, I guess, decision making was, if we want to make everything successful, from the CSO program to the police officer ratio to Parks and Rec, and the Build Kamloops, let's give Director McCorkle one big job to do and do the Build Kamloops, and let's take the other pieces off his table and delegate it to other people. We're not, in the defense of David, this is before my time, I believe at one time in previous councils, they cut a position when David Duckworth went to Calgary.
Yeah.
So he never replaced that, and he championed that. So I can manage without this position. I'm going to save the city a couple $100,000 a year. Everybody thought that was a great idea. This city has grown. The responsibilities have grown for each director. I'd rather see a director focus on his portfolio 110% and not be stretched thin all over the place. When you don't, as you can see, our staff are aging out. Succession isn't, the people behind all the directors don't have the experience our directors do at this time. So I feel comfortable the maneuvering he did is going to pay off at the end for the whole city. $42. I'll be, and there's no secret, my son's a CSO officer. He started and I bug him to this day. His starting wage was more than I got when I retired after 31 years at Canada Post. And when I see him moping around, or I go, like,
you got a good kid.
You got a good kid. And Mom told me I can't raise your rent, so I don't know what to do here.
Okay, on that note, thanks for that. But is there anything else from your perspective, because you have a deeper perspective than we do, is there anything the city can be doing to mitigate the costs, or do you think they're doing what they can do? Is there anything that you have an idea, like, maybe we would cut here or do this here?
Well, I think we have to do more advocating for funding from other levels of government to bring our costs down. And that was brought up by the mayor yesterday too, that he preferred that we reach out for funding on maintaining assets or
grants.
That's a great, it's a bonus if you get it. It's almost like a lottery ticket, a scratch ticket. You don't have that money, you applied for it, you bought the ticket, and you got $50 or $25 that you didn't have. But you can use that to something you weren't planning on using. Those grants really come into play, and they can offset a project's cost to the taxpayer, or they can allow us to do another new project that wasn't even on the horizon that some other levels of governments are paying for. I argue that, though, and I'm sort of on both sides of the fence. No matter where that money comes from, it's still taxpayer money. But I'd rather see it come to Kamloops and I'm being brutally selfish here, than going to Kelowna, Penticton, Vernon. If we're going to have tax money coming back, then let's bring it back here.
I did want to ask you, because you brought up the grants, and I was listening yesterday to the council, and there was kind of an interesting back and forth, and some analogies made about betting on the roulette table, and Katie calling it negligent. What did you make of the mayor's kind of ideas on grant funding?
I struggled with it, to be honest, because that's not the way we can maintain our assets and run a government. Is you can't rely on grants. You can apply for them, but you can't plan your fiscal responsibility on a one-off that you might get this money. So we're going to go ahead and do this job, and we're going to hope that we get a grant. And what happens if you don't? And you continue, multiple municipalities reach for those same grants. Everybody's struggling and stretching thin and doing everything they can to get those dollars. So I would rather have a plan how we're paying for things here, and if a grant comes through, it's a bonus, and we can cut that tax rate down or do a new project.
Okay, let's switch gears to the garbage recycling pickup. I think there's going to be a period in December where there's 2.5
weeks in some cases where there's no pickup of anything, and a lot of people are getting angry.
I agree with you. It's one of those things, and I think staff said they identified it in the pilot project. And I'm still struggling of why there can't be a fix if it was identified in the pilot project. Why we can't figure that one out right now. And I also struggle with telling residents that if you feel it's a long stretch of time, to order some more garbage cans or upsize.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the answer.
No, they're arguing
personally.
that they shouldn't have to pay more when they're already paying what they're. Some argue that they're getting ripped off because they entered into an agreement. Those people came to council and said, we have a contract for weekly pickup, we're paying it. Now it's every second week. You broke the contract, we want our money back. That's another issue. But back in the day when I first moved here in 05, there was a number of years where the city added an extra bonus pickup day around Christmas just to help out people, just to be nice.
Absolutely.
Then they became the Scrooge and the Grinch, and they took it away. So there's a 2.5 week period now where we're going to have overflowing garbage cans, overflowing recycling. At the one time of the year when people eat more and they have more wrappings, and why can't the council pass us things saying, look, we're going to put one day in there to help people out?
I think that conversation has to happen.
Yeah.
Especially when we're realizing, as we get closer to these types of things get identified.
Yeah.
This is a new program, we get it.
Yep.
But when I'm told that the pilot project had identified this gap, then we should have been ahead of it and said, hey, we're gonna do a mid holiday pickup for everybody, and whatever you put out there, we're gonna take.
I think it's a good idea. Plus, it's good for a re-election.
We're not ripping Glenn Farrell. Glenn Farrell came onto our show.
No, he's a great guy.
Everything.
No, absolutely.
But we're just saying the people are upset.
We're learning.
People are
Exactly.
concerned. That's what we're saying.
We won't know the issues unless people bring it forward.
And they're bringing it
we
forward.
don't have all the answers. I don't have all the answers, and staff obviously are always willing to listen to council, and staff are our experts. But again, we set policy, and we brought in this new organic waste and scheduling, and we're finding out that our residents are not. It's not working. So staff tweak the policy.
Sure. Allison Levitt, one of our loyal watchers, replied on Instagram, and she's not happy about this garbage pickup.
And
She
I
wants
know.
another date. So shout out to you, Allison.
Yeah,
Thanks for watching.
absolutely, Allison. We hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So it's something that's it's a fluid situation.
It'll be a discussion. Absolutely.
Good.
We are almost out of time. Mike, do you have anything you want to ask Bill before we let him go?
Not especially.
Nope.
We talk lots about
Yeah.
things. We talk about the city and what we can do to make things better. I got the same old thing of we need to support local more, and that's it. I had a big meeting with David Hallahan, and although I appreciated and respected him meeting with me, I don't think we totally saw eye to eye on things. But
Is that on the procurement side?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hear it too. If you got a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
I hear it too from our local businesses that support local teams here and do advertisement here, pay taxes here. They got
So
brick and
many
mortar.
businesses,
And when they bid on things, I question why we can't give that company a little bit more weight in their bidding
Because
being local.
You can't. It's against the international law.
Exactly.
You can't give a local. Otherwise, you're going to open yourself to lawsuits.
I've asked these questions, Mike, on your behalf, and our
it's
local
not my
business-
behalf. I've given up on that end of things. Honestly,
What
it's on
happens, though-
all the other companies that
Yep.
that I've talked to that are super frustrated.
Yep.
Yeah.
What happens though, you get out of city companies, if the city went ahead and did that, which is illegal,
Yep.
but if you said support local, we're going to do something like that, all they're going to do is come open up a local PO box with a local address and submit their application with a local address.
Well, at least they're paying a business license.
Yeah, I want to support the local brick and mortar. You support us, and it's just one of those things.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to get my head around and the mind around. Like, why can't there be a little bit of more assist factor when a local businessman? We're not excluding out of towners, but a little bit more bonus
Weighted,
points for local business because they're going to spend their money. Their workers live here. You work here. You pay taxes to our town. Absolutely, I agree with you.
But the city's hands have been tied for a number of years by senior levels of government's international trade agreements.
Well, maybe we should lobby with the local chamber to change those because it is a detriment to our community, and we do lose a lot of businesses. There's a big list of them that have left town.
And that's where SILGA comes in and Chamber comes in. You reach out to the associations, and every city would probably do the same thing. Let's give a little extra weight to local businesses that bid on procurement with the municipalities that they.
You're doing the AV for Silga, right?
I do.
A few more slides are going to slip in there. A few more
more
slides.
slides.
What's this slide about?
No, I agree with you 100%. I just don't know how to go about it legally.
Yeah, right. There you go.
Well, that was a good we could do a whole probably half hour on that.
Oh, I could go off.
Yeah.
We don't want that.
No, we don't want
Easy.
that.
These babies right here, what are we looking at?
We are looking at Whirlpool's new top load washer dryer set. They've recently redesigned their machines and they're starting to come with removable agitators. because a couple years back they actually stopped making them with agitators, and then people liked them, some people didn't, so they decided to bring it back. So now they offer this model here.
Can you just explain to me, I am completely clueless, what that looks like a bazooka. So that's an agitator. What does it do? So
this little guy here goes and the clothes.
Does it make that noise?
It actually does sometimes.
Okay.
So it quite literally agitates the clothing to make them wash. But then if you're doing like, bedding, towels, sheets and stuff like that, it can get annoying because they can wrap and wrap and wrap around it.
I do notice that.
Yeah, so it is nice that you can actually just take it off for when you are doing those big loads. And it's super easy to take on and off. And they've had it for a while now, and we haven't had any problems. We haven't had to replace the agitators or anything like that, so.
And Black Friday,
So
these babies are all part of that, and lowest prices of the year.
yes, yep, and they will be going all the way till the 6th of December.
More police cars coming by. Brendan Shaw, the real estate agent for Trillium Tower and City Gardens, joins us today. Thanks for being here, Brendan, and waiting out in the car for a while. Let's talk about this project. Tell us about the scope of this thing, just in general, City Gardens. I mean, how many buildings, how many high rises, low rises? Can you give us a general overview?
Yeah, for sure. So I'll try and get through the sirens out there. But I'm really excited to be here. And thanks again for the invite. For those of you that don't know, City Gardens is one of the largest residential developments in Kamloops to date. So the scope of the project in total is 550 units spanned over a mix of kind of low-rise and obviously the two towers that Trillium is the one that's coming out of the ground right now. Just actually drove by it the other day, and they're kind of working on that 7th floor now on Trillium. Trillium will be, once it's complete, 24 stories in downtown Kamloops, consisting of 150 units. And it's pretty remarkable when you just drive or walk downtown and you take a look at kind of similar buildings in the area. This building will be iconic for downtown Kamloops.
Well, that's a great point. I mean, how do you think it's going to change downtown Kamloops? Not just aesthetically, but I mean, socially and otherwise.
I think it's a great thing. I mean, I used to live downtown in Victoria Landing lived there for a number of years, and just having that walkability of after work, just being able to go and go to restaurants or experience the nightlife, the various retail stores and parks that are downtown. I think creating more residential in a downtown area like Kamloops not just supports the businesses that are there, but really creates a vibrancy with the community as well. So I mean, that's why I was right from the get-go when I saw this project and this vision that Ron Fawcett had. It was something that I was and still am really excited about. Is
this like luxury residence though, or is there a kind of a more affordable housing type side to this? Yeah, so it is. Trillium Tower that we're marketing, 150 units, is kind of the it's setting the bar for kind of the current condo market here in town. The building itself, being 24 stories, is a concrete structure. So most of the low rises that we see being built right now are 4 to 6 stories wood frames. So a more affordable material than concrete. Right. So with the scope of this project being what it is, it is coming in at obviously more of a luxurious design, more of a luxurious finishing package than some of the other developments here in town, and with that is an additional cost attributed to it as well too. But the architects actually did a fantastic job with this development, kind of creating a blend of floor plans. So we have studios, 1 bedroom dens, 2 bedrooms. So depending with what people are looking for in their price range, there are some really affordable units, depending with what people are looking for. How are sales going, and kind of what is the price range at this point? Yeah, so we're about 50% sold of the building.
that's currently under construction. We're anticipating kind of completion to be mid-2025. The price ranges starting kind of the low to mid 400,000s and go up from there. So depending with what people are looking for. Some of the units that we have sold have been sub-penthouse levels, 1,500 square feet, and so those are typically in the $1 to $1.5 million range.
Oh wow!
Wow, I think the Fawcett's have reserved the top, haven't they? That's what I heard. From where are people buying this? Like, are they all local or out of towners? Are they retirees? Are they young people? What's the demographic that you've seen from the people who have purchased?
It's been a mix of both. I mean, what we're seeing kind of in the broader market is, and historically it's been, about 10% of the sales have been from purchasers out of town, such as the Lower Mainland, Prince George, the Okanagan, out of province. And we're seeing a similar kind of demographic and purchaser here in City Gardens as well too. The majority of the purchasers are local, so the demographics that we're seeing are predominantly retirees that are looking for a place to downsize. We are seeing a few young professionals as well too that are looking for an affordable studio or one bedroom to move into once this is built. So it's a pretty good mix that way. And for the purchasers we've seen, there've been a mix of owner-occupiers and investors, with certainly a heavier weight attributed to owner-occupier.
Okay. Any questions, Mike, for Brendan?
I think it's really exciting. I think it's a really amazing piece that we're going to have downtown, and
how's the soundproofing for sirens?
How's the soundproofing for sirens? I imagine the views are going to be amazing. How is it with did you have to do special things with the fire department because it's so tall, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I know KFR was part of the initial kind of discussions as far as the architecture and design goes. So we weren't a part of those discussions, but I know they were certainly brought in right from the get-go.
Yeah, they wouldn't approve it unless. But I imagine do you have to get an extra tall ladder truck or something? But
there's issues with that, and also not just with the City Gardens, but with the new Royal Inland Hospital Tower with communications, because all these buildings, the communications are getting blocked out, so they're trying to figure that out on the KFR.
Can I get a helipad on the top if I bought the penthouse? Wouldn't that be awesome?
That would be pretty
Who is that
nice.
guy? That's Mike Miltimore on the top there.
I looked at the fact section, the frequently asked questions, and it looks like they're trying to get out in front of this, because there was a question about were there houses moved or demolished or heritage houses destroyed in any of this kind of gentrification type questions. Any comment or answers to that?
Yeah, for sure. So there was. I mean, obviously, a few of the homes were a little bit older than the typical average house here in town, and so with that, kind of during the initial consultation stage, Kelson Group actually made the offering out to anybody if they were interested in those homes for preservation or whatnot, that they would not only give those homes but also provide some funding to alleviate some of the costs of moving as well too. So a couple of those homes were just structurally unsafe, and there was just no way to preserve them, just given the quality of them. But there were a couple homes that actually were able. One of them just moved a few blocks away, actually down on, I believe, St. Paul Street. Were able to be moved and repurposed essentially, and brought to kind of a livable conditions.
The other one went up the highway to Little Fort.
Little Fort.
That's right.
It's a big project, eh? It
was cool to see it. Yeah, down there, watching it lifted up and put it on the truck, and away it goes in the middle of the night. Really cool.
Yeah.
Parking.
That parkade is the most incredible. It's like staring into the depths of whatever. It's the largest hole I've ever seen. It's massive. It's very expensive with the concrete. How does the parking work? Because I had heard that if you want an extra space, it's pretty expensive.
Yeah, so what we did, and I know a lot of developers, down on the coast they're not offering parking anymore. So they're saying, hey, here's our price if you want a parking stall.
It's an extra.
Yeah, it's an extra, or we'll lease it to you, and it's not actually included as part of the purchase. So what we decided to do was right from the outset include one stall per unit. So there's a lot of people. I mean, I talk about kind of our average purchaser being a retiree that's looking to downsize or whatnot. There's a lot of two-car households that are moving down to one, and so So something like that becomes beneficial. We provide one stall, and then there will be additional stalls that people could rent on a hourly, daily, monthly basis as well too, kind of after the fact. The option of purchasing a second stall, it may not be available for everyone, but there are those options too. So if someone's coming with a couple cars or whatnot, there are those options. But certainly the plan for that parkade kind of encompassing almost that entire city block between 4th and 5th on Nicola.
How many stalls are there?
That's
hundreds.
Yeah, hundreds.
So the average Joe can go and park in these stalls and pay, and how does that work?
So there will be a parkade component.
Yeah.
The plan is not in the initial parkade, but in the one across the street, one of the low-rise that they're looking to build, to have a parkade component there where people could go and rent. So if you're, the nice thing about that is if you have friends or family that are coming to visit you or whatnot and staying for the day or whatnot, that there is those parking options available for people as well.
Do you know the total number of residents when this is all done? Like how many residents might be in the city gardens?
Yeah. So 550 units in total, and of course that's a mix of studio, one, 2-bedroom units. There would be, I would think, in that 1,000 to 1,200-ish range.
Okay.
Yeah. And how about tax implications? Have you been apprised of what kind of revenue the city will get from, say, Trillium to begin with? What kind of tax impact? It's a lot of revenue.
It is, yeah. I mean, obviously, whenever you bring in 550 new apartments, of course, there'd be a number of factors, tax assessments and whatnot. One of the advantages of this development as well too is that it does qualify for the residential
tax exemption.
The tax exemption.
So the city will have to keep the water rates high for 10 years because they can't take property taxes there.
Yeah.
All right.
So don't worry, I'm paying extra on my commercial property tax.
That's absolutely yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
There obviously is with that still the portion of the municipal taxes that would be payable, but there would be a benefit for purchasers for 10 years.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Final thoughts from you. I was asking you about stress levels because it's the biggest project you've ever taken, and I mean you must be excited, but also how are you doing with it all?
Well, I think it's fantastic. Development. I mean, we have some great staff that work with us, buyers agents that work out of the show suite as well too, that are very knowledgeable about the project. Kelson Group, they've got a fantastic team behind them, not just from the development side, but on the construction side as well too. And so, whenever there's a question or something to look into, everyone's just a phone call away, and having that support behind you is a pretty amazing thing. So certainly looking forward to kind of getting to completion and occupancy here. And I know purchasers will find that professionalism really comes in handy at key handover.
Cool. So this time next year, I read it was kind of supposed to be nearing completion and then move in hopefully 2025, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Volkswagen, das Auto.
Let's wrap the show. Mike, let's start with you. You had some good input today. What are your thoughts in general on our show?
I think the show is really good. I always liked Bill Sarai. I feel Bill's one of those kind of guys you can talk straight up to, and he'll always he'll listen, and he thinks a lot about what you're saying. So.
I like the way he comes across too. He seems like he's fairly direct and listens and cares.
Yeah, I've always had a really great relationship with Bill on that kind of stuff. Brendan, that's really exciting. What's going on there? I think it's going to add a lot to the city.
Are you going to buy the penthouse?
If I could put a helicopter pad on the top, maybe.
What about you? You already have your penthouse Dream World bachelor pad.
I'm the North Shore guy. I'm the basic North Shore guy. But just right now, hey, there's an explosion at the Peace Bridge that crosses Niagara Falls to Ontario and on New York. A car exploded and the FBI is investigating. Yikes.
Wow.
That doesn't sound good.
That doesn't sound
Have you
good
been
at
on
all.
that bridge?
No, but
I have.
I'm thinking that's kind of...
Yes, I have as well.
You're worried about the terrorism aspect to this. Maybe it was just an
It's right by
explosion.
I go there, the Buffalo Bills play in Orchard Park.
It's right by Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. But
Well, we don't know what it is.
No, this show was very explosive. It was very good. You had you had the water rates thing. You had Mike taking on O'Hallahan, and it was good. It was a good show.
We can't do it without our sponsors either. Volkswagen of Kamloops, Terry, low rates. The electric cars, I think he sold about 90 of them since sponsoring our show. Gord Stevens, Steve Rogers, Gord's Appliance and Mattress Center, almost 2 years with us now. So we can't thank them enough. I talked to Brandy Seacon on the phone this morning, a loyal sponsor, co-title sponsor.
McDonald's.
Can't do without McDonald's. Subscribers, we keep on growing. Join us, join the Last Week Clique, subscribe on YouTube, listen on podcasts. If you're listening on podcasts, send us an email, kamloopslastweek@gmail.com. If you want to advertise on this show, do the same thing, kamloopslastweek@gmail.com. We're welcoming new advertisers, trying to get a new a second day of the week show going. News on that hopefully to come. Our Facebook page is now up. Our own personal Facebook page.
What's it called?
Kamloops Last Week. There you go. Chris. And our
Twitter?
Instagram.
Are we on Twitter?
No, we're on Instagram.
We should be on Twitter.
Well, we're Twitter through I tweet everything out on my account, Mar the Reporter, @Mar the Reporter. Well, do you want to run it? Maybe put some work in on it?
Sure.
Twitter, but can he rage on his own Twitter page?
Oh, that's the thing. I don't want you getting on Twitter at night on that thing.
No.
Anonymous Fouldsy going.
We can stay off Twitter for now.
Okay, for Chris, for Magic Mike, and for Bill, I'm Marty, and we'll see you last week.
Last week.